Good morning. How are you guys? Welcome. Don't forget to like the video if you liked it, subscribe as well for more videos of mine, and let's just get right into it, shall we? So today I'm gonna show you guys how to apply foundation like a pro. You know what I'm saying? So there's a few things that you can always do, things that I feel like sometimes we don't know, and it can make your foundation look either cakey or just not blended. And I just want to let you guys know some tips that I have learned, and hopefully they help you with your application of foundation. First things first, you want to make sure that you prep your skin super nicely. I already washed my face, I applied my moisturizers, I applied my eye cream. At the moment I'm using the Revitalift by L'Oreal. This, I've been using it for quite a while now actually, and I've been liking it. I love the applicator because it really helps to wake me up in the morning, especially because it's like nice and cooling. So I feel like it really helps to depuff my under eye area. For moisturizer and sunscreen, I've been using the Supergoop Glow Screen sunscreen, and I really like this. They do have a couple of versions. They have one that's a little bit more mattifying, one that's glowy, and I think they have another one. I'm not 100% sure, but I think they do. Just been loving this. You want to make sure that you're applying sunscreen every single day, even if you're in a cold ass spot like I am right now. Right now it's like minus 20 outside. It's hella freezing. But either way, you want to make sure that you're protecting your skin from the sun. The number one anti-aging tip that I can give you: just apply sunscreen, please. I put some lip mask by Laneige right now because again, it's very cold here in Canada and my lips tend to get chapped even if I'm like applying lip balm constantly. Like, it's already kind of like in my routine, I always do so. But even then, whenever I'm going to apply my foundation, I always like to make sure that I'm moisturizing my lips as well and letting that kind of like sink in while I do other things. And another one that I've been doing is I usually like to massage my face with my what's this called? It's a washa. I think it's washa called. So I like to massage my face a little bit before, if I'm doing like, you know, an event, or if I'm, you know, wanting my skin to really be nice and smooth and lifted. I always like to go ahead and just massage before applying any, you know, any makeup or anything like that. So that's another thing that I would recommend. If you have like a roller or something like that, that you can just give your face a quick massage, get the blood flowing. It really helps, and I've been trying to stay consistent with it, right? Like, it's all about consistency, so make sure you do it often so that your skin is really benefiting from it. Now, as you guys can see, my skin, I think Mr. Flowy is coming because, like, my flow is coming because my skin isn't doing so good right now. I have a couple of like red spots which are not really breakouts, but they're just there, you know. So I'm gonna show you guys as well some tips on how to do some coverage, like extra coverage, without over applying so much product, because sometimes I feel like we tend to just want to cover and we apply too much and then it just doesn't look good, right? For foundation today, I'm gonna be using the Il Makiage Woke Up Like This foundation. Since I tried this foundation, I've been in love with it. Anytime that I've gone out, anytime that I've gotten ready or anything like that, I've been using this foundation. It just looks like hella flawless on the skin. I actually went out the other day and someone complimented my skin. They said, oh my god, like, what are you wearing? Like, it just looks super smooth. And actually, quick update, I ended up keeping the primer because the same thing, that day when I applied it, it just looked flawless. So I've been using that primer a lot. Today I want to try this one. This is the Power Grip by e.l.f. I've already used this primer and it's a nice primer. It's definitely different. It's not anything like that one, it's definitely not. But I'm just gonna use a little bit of this one. I find that it's a little bit more moisturizing. So because right now it's really cold outside, I want to make sure that I'm applying like a nice moisturizing primer all throughout. And then I'm going to probably apply a little bit of the Il Makiage onto just like the center of my face. So this is the it's like a dupe for the, what's the brand? You know which one I'm talking about, but I can't remember right now. It literally just slipped out of my head, the name of the primer. And I do like it. I find that I don't want to apply it so much right in the center of my skin, because I find that it gives me kind of like a little bit of a hydrating look. So if you have more oily skin, I don't recommend you do that, because it'll kind of not help with the oils. But I'm gonna use the No Filter Poreless Base Primer by Il Makiage right here in this area. So whenever you're going to be applying foundation, you want to make sure that you're prepping your skin good for it, right? Like you want to make sure that you take the extra steps needed to make sure that your foundation is gonna look nice and flawless, to make sure that it's gonna last as long as possible. So I'm just using that to press it right here into my T-zone pores, which is mainly where you will have most texture and, you know, any pores, anything like that. So you want to make sure you apply that there. I'm applying a little bit right here on my chin. I was sick for a couple days. Actually, the day that I filmed the Il Makiage video, I got quite sick later in the day. So my skin was quite red in like certain spots and dry. And it's the same thing right now. Like it's quite dry, but it's getting better. I'm not feeling sick anymore, thankfully. But definitely, you just want to make sure that you're prepping your skin depending on those factors. Like if your skin is drier, you want to use something a little bit more moisturizing so that you don't emphasize the dryness. If your skin is feeling a little bit more oily, you want to make sure you're using something that's going to kind of counteract with the oiliness, and so on and so forth. Okay, let's take the foundation. So I'm just gonna put a pump right here on the back of my hand. With foundation, you always want to make sure you use less and then you start building up. So you don't want to go ahead and use a lot all at once, because foundation is one of those things that, or anything with makeup, I think once you apply too much, it's going to be really difficult to take off. So you just want to make sure you build layers by layers. Okay, I'm gonna use my finger. I just kind of warmed it up to get the product a little bit warmed up. You know, it's like kind of when you're going to work out, you want to warm up before you do anything, right? So same thing with the product. You don't want to just apply it from the cold ass pump, you know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna go ahead and just dot this onto my face, and just like that. I personally like to apply my foundation with a beauty blender, but you can use a brush as well. Especially this foundation, I find that it works really nicely with either a brush or a foundation. Another tip that I had already dampened my beauty blender, but you want to make sure that you're wetting your beauty blender a little bit before you go right into your skin, just so that it's nice and damp. You don't want it to be super dry, and this is gonna help with the blendability of the foundation onto your skin. Okay, so as you guys can see, I see a lot of people that do this. They drag the foundation with a beauty sponge. You don't want to do that. That's not what the beauty blender is meant for. I mean, if that works for you, by all means, but technically I recommend you just push it into the skin, because that's gonna give you the most coverage. It's gonna give you the most flawless finish. So I'm just going to make sure that I'm pouncing that foundation into the skin. Okay, and I'm applying a thin layer. Like I said, I've already gone into the foundation that I have here, but I'm still making sure that I'm applying a thin layer and making sure that I'm applying the coverage where it's needed most. Once you kind of have that, I'm gonna go ahead and take my sponge and I'm going to drag it down a little bit. So that you definitely want to do. I find that sometimes I see girls, and this has even happened to me because, you know, we all learn as we go, but I wouldn't blend it down my neck. And even though this foundation like is a perfect shade for me, you can still tell a difference when you have makeup on, right? Like it'll still be noticeable if you don't blend it really nice into this area of your neck or your ears. Sometimes I see girls with you can tell clearly that they just left that area kind of blank. And again, that's not really how it should be. So you just want to make sure that you're blending that nicely so that it's not super noticeable that you have like a whole face of foundation, right? I've used a pump. I'm gonna go ahead and just put a little bit more onto my skin, warm it up again. This foundation is like hella cold right now because it's close to my window. It's a cold day today. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and apply a little bit here on my nose and right onto my forehead. Here is the areas where I did not apply any product before, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And I'm only gonna do half of my face so you guys can see the difference with foundation, just a light application of it. Okay, you want to make sure right around the nose, you want to make sure that you really take your time to blend it in and just make sure that it's as smooth as can be. Sometimes we are rushing and whatnot, and you don't take the time to really blend it into those crevices, any spots of your face, anything like that, and it will be noticeable. So you just make sure you're taking your time, that it looks nice and smooth and blended. Okay, I have a couple spots which I'm gonna leave just like that for now, and I'm gonna move on to the other side of my face. Just gonna do the same exact thing. Same thing, wetting my beauty blender, setting spray. So this will also help with how long your foundation will last. That's just another tip for you guys. I recommend you guys do that once, even though your sponge was already like dampened, this helps to just even more elongate the duration of your foundation and your makeup overall, right? I gotta say, this foundation made me fall in love with applying foundation again on my skin. I had not been impressed, I guess is the word, with a foundation in a very long time, and I just felt like applying foundation for me could look heavy. I didn't like how it was looking on my skin. But since I applied this foundation, girl, I've been loving it. So I did apply quite a bit of foundation because I'm using a beauty blender. So a beauty blender usually will soak up a little bit more of the product. And I'm just taking whatever was left onto the back of my hand and using that to blend it down my neck and this area. So that was foundation. I want to go ahead and show you guys a little bit on how to cover any spots. I'm going to be using the Maybelline Fit Me concealer. I have a couple of these ones in different shades, so I'm going to use the shade 20, which is a little bit more like my skin tone. This one is 15, which is light, and this one is sand, but I'll show you guys a swatch of it so you guys can see it's more so like my skin tone. So I'm gonna use a little bit right here on the back of my hand, and I'm gonna take a brush. Now, why am I gonna be using a brush instead of the beauty blender? Because I want it to be a little bit more precise. So I'm gonna use that. I have a couple spots. So I have this one right here. I'm gonna use that, and I'm gonna use very light tapping motions to just blend it and cover that up. So this is if you want like super flawless skin and nothing poking through. I use that. Okay, you can see, and then I went in with the beauty blender with a very light touch. I'm not using a lot of pressure, and I'm just going over it to just make sure that it's nice and blended. Then I'm gonna use the same thing right on this guy, which is, this one is a little bit more red. And if you guys have a more full coverage concealer, you can use that. Like, I was about to use this one, but it's a little bit too light at the moment, and if you use a concealer that's too light, it's going to highlight it instead of hide it, so you don't want that. Okay, so I'm just gonna use a little bit of concealer. It's right there. Little tapping motions. I'm not applying a lot of pressure. I'm not, you know, swiping or anything like that. Like, whenever you want more coverage, you want to just use very light tapping motions, okay? And that'll give you the best result. So there you guys can see, I'm all nice and flawless. I don't have literally any spots, literally. Let's see on this side. I think on this side it was looking fine. Just right here, it's looking a little red. Same thing, just applying tapping motions. Sometimes with this brush I like to go right on the nose because it really helps to blend it in. And this is just a Luxie 207 medium angled shading brush. Okay, so that's it, guys. That's usually how I will do it. I will use a little bit of setting mist, just kind of fan it a little bit, and then go over with the beauty blender to press it into the skin even further. And that's it. That is how you can apply foundation like a pro. There are a few tips, like I said, that you can definitely put into your routine that will give you that professional foundation application. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you guys have any questions, or if you guys have any comments or anything like that, anything that I maybe should implement into my routine as well. I would love to hear. Don't forget to check out my Instagram and all my socials so we can stay connected, and I will see you guys on my next video. Bye.